Um,
You know,
I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute and just try and pull it up again and make sure we've
okay.
got everything.
All right. In the meantime, I will tell you a little bit about myself. I have been in the International Student and Scholar Services Office for, it'll be 24 years in January. And I've seen a lot of new students come, and I've seen a lot of new students graduate. So I'm excited for your experience to come here and be a part of that. A lot of students will refer to me as Miss Gina, and so if you hear somebody say that, they've kind of given me an honorary title, and so I've accepted it. And that's what one of my names is you can call me Gina or Miss Gina. And so I think it looks like Miss Casey has our slideshow going.
Yeah, I think I got it to work now. So,
Okay, all right. Miss Casey, I thank you so much for developing this slideshow. It is super cool. Okay, the agenda for today is reminders of our session, registration, and including how to remove holes, applying for a Social Security number, whether you're looking for a job on campus or you're a graduate assistant. We're going to talk a little bit about health insurance, admission notes, and then any other topics that pop up. So this picture is our Golden Eagle mascot at a ball game. That's what our mascot is the Golden Eagle. So you'll sometimes hear that, the University of Southern Mississippi can be called USM, University of Southern Mississippi. It's also referred to as Southern Miss, and then we're also referred to as the Golden Eagles.
all right, so just a few reminders for you before we get into the rest of the presentation. And you've probably heard all of these at least once from Miss Leah already. But you do need to register your arrival information with ISSS by January 1st. I know that link was included earlier, and you will get that in an email. Also, please remember that transportation will only be provided on designated days. We have a very small staff who we work really hard to make sure we do our best to accommodate students, but we're just not physically able to get back and forth to airports every day before school starts. And so we have certain scheduled days where we will provide pickups both at the Hattiesburg PIB airport and the New Orleans MSY airport. But other than that, it will be your responsibility to find a way to Hattiesburg from those airports. I know that Miss Leah said earlier and encouraged strongly consider using the Hattiesburg Airport PIB. It has a direct connection to Houston. And while it's a smaller plane from Houston to Hattiesburg, that airport is about 15 minutes from campus, whereas the New Orleans airport is about an hour and a half. So it's a much longer distance. So we just encourage you to check the prices on that. And if it's not much more expensive, just consider that you would be spending potentially $150 or more to pay for transportation from Hattiesburg or from New Orleans to Hattiesburg. So just to consider that. The university will be closed December 21st through January 2nd for Christmas holidays. So during that time, you should not expect an answer from anyone via email or phone calls. This is really our one time of year that we all take a break and we spend time with our families, some travel. And so just don't expect an answer. You might get one if we're checking email or feeling generous, but just don't expect it. So once again, I would encourage you not to arrive during those dates because there won't be anybody here to help you on campus. The entire campus will be closed down. Once again, travel with your USM documents like your I-20, admission letter. If you get a graduate assistantship, travel with that letter as well. Make sure those things are in your carry-on so that when you arrive to the U.S. and you go through customs, you have those physical documents with you. And then, as Ms. Gina said, we're going to cover all of your questions at the end. So just please listen as we give this short presentation. We may answer some of your questions, but if we don't, we can discuss those after the presentation. So just hold those questions to the end.
Okay, we're going to talk about registration and what you need to do to get registered for your spring classes. First of all international students have to arrive, graduate students have to arrive on campus first and go through our international student and scholar services check-in. We call it, where our office is short for ISSS, International Student and Scholar Services. You have to meet with us first, go through our check-in, and then we will set up an appointment for you to go to our Moffitt Health Center. There are a couple of holds that will be placed on your student account until you can check in with our Moffitt Health Center. You will need to bring your immunization records. You're required to show proof of 2 MMRs, measles, mumps, and rubella. I know that some countries give those shots individually. Here in the U.S., we give them in one shot, all 3 in one shot, and so that's called an MMR, measles, mumps, and rubella. You need to bring your immunization records with you. Some of y'all have already turned them in to the Moffitt Health Center or a different department, but Moffitt requires that they actually can look at that because for some reason it might not have posted or something, or they might not have a direct copy of it. They're asking that you bring your immunization records with you so that you can take them with as part of your documents to the Moffitt Health Center. While you're at the Moffitt Health Center, you will also have a TB test that is required. It's a state law. They will not release your holds. They will clear you for your 2 MMR shots if you have proof. If you only have one shot, proof of one shot, you can get your second shot there or even your first shot there. If you have not had any MMRs, shots, measles, mumps, or rubella, then you will take your first shot at Moffitt and you have to wait 30 days before you get your second shot. You can register after you show proof of 1 MMR. But if you only have proof of 1 on that day already, you will get your second shot that day. Everybody will have the TB test done. It has to be done at Moffitt. You can have your measles, mumps, and rubella shot, take them back home, and then bring the records with you. But the TB tuberculosis test has to be done at Moffitt Health Center. It cannot be done anywhere else. We will actually set up your Moffitt Health appointment while you're at our ISSS check-in. So the first thing you'll do once you get on campus and get settled is you will come to your ISSS check-in with our office. We are located actually in the International Center on the 4th floor, and we'll have signs set up and everything to tell you where we will be that day. Our main office, though, is on the 4th floor room. Mine is actually 411. That covers so let's go over one more time what happens after you go to your Moffitt Health Center and you get cleared for your 2 MMR shots, you get cleared for the TB test. It does take a day or 2 for the TB test clearance to come back. That test is actually sent off to a lab, and it takes 2 or 3 days for that to come back and say that you're cleared for the TB test. The holds will be released once your TB test comes back as cleared. So that might take 2 or 3 days. It's not an instant release of those holds. After your TB test and your Moffitt Health Center holds have been cleared, then you can go to your advisor and register for classes. The holds cannot be removed until after you have gone through the Moffitt Health Center. So I guess that's it. Okay. The health insurance, everybody, all international students, well, let's get to the health insurance. This kind of takes part of this is kind of part of the Moffitt Health Center, going and having your 2 MMRs checked off or getting the shot there, and having the TB test. Your health insurance, every international student will have health insurance. You're required to purchase our health insurance if you're on the F1 or J1 visa status. The health insurance is through United Healthcare Student Resources. It's very good health insurance, and it will begin on January 1st. Therefore, you cannot have a Moffitt health insurance, a Moffitt's healthcare appointment until after January 1st, because your health insurance won't even start until then. And the health insurance covers if you have to have a MMR shot, and it helps cover the TB test. So we want to make sure that you don't go to Moffitt Health Center before January 1st. The procedure is actually to come see our office first, and then we set up the Moffitt Health Insurance appointment. The Moffitt Health appointment. Back to the health insurance. Your health insurance is absolutely wonderful. It has what's called a $250 deductible. That will go more over that. That is the amount of money that you have to be charged for medical expenses first before the insurance starts paying. But that is a very low deductible, much lower than mine. So I wish I had y'all's health insurance. You also can go to the Moffitt Health Center at any time. They are open, and almost all of it's paid for. I did ask them one time, what doesn't our insurance cover? And they said, I don't know, maybe if it's a specific test, that's not usually given. They do. So you always want to go to Moffitt Health Center if you're sick or if you're not feeling well. Always check with there first. They are open Monday through Friday during business hours, regular business hours. And sometimes their hours vary based on what day it is. It's usually somewhere between 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 or 5 in the afternoon. The health insurance, like I said, will cover if you have to have a measles, mumps, or rubella shot as part of your check-in, and the TB test. For the health insurance, we will actually bill your student account once you enroll in classes. Also, too, if you're a GA, a graduate assistant, half of your health insurance is paid for by the graduate assistantship, and then the other half is set up to be deducted out of your paycheck. Health insurance is required of all international students. If you have dependents, then please send us an email to intl@usm.edu. We will actually put that in the chat, and ask us about dependent coverage. Dependents are not required to purchase our health insurance, but it is pretty good insurance. And we can also give you some other options for your dependents but they are not required to purchase our insurance. We offer it as a benefit, but they don't have to, and we do have some suggestions of other insurances that you can check on. Let's see. It says we highly encourage dependents to have health insurance. You just never know when your child's going to get sick, or your spouse is going to be sick or need to go to a doctor. So we do encourage that everybody have health insurance, all your family, all your dependents, because you just never know. And we do not have a social medical insurance system here where everything's covered by the government. It is require that individuals have health insurance and pay for their medical expenses in that way. Let's see, I can't kind of read the last one. We do have a health clinic on campus. That's Moffett Health Center, and you always want to try to go there first if you're feeling sick or need a test ran or something. Then they will file your health insurance for you if you go to the Moffett Health Center. Is there anything else, Casey, that you can think of?
I just want to point out, I didn't put it on here, but we do also have counseling services available on campus. So if you need some mental health resources, we do have those available on our campus as well. But I just want to highlight the healthcare system in the U.S. is extremely different than most parts of the world. That's generally kind of a culture shock that our students experience when they find out how much healthcare costs, which is one of the reasons that insurance is required. And as Ms. Gina said, that $250 copay is extremely low compared to most insurance that's provided through like an employer, for example. So we do get a lot of questions about insurance, but it is required. This is not a requirement from USM, but this is actually a requirement from our state governing body that requires that all international students do have healthcare insurance. So, you may have more questions once you arrive. This is also another good reason why you should not arrive too early, because you will not have access to health insurance until January 1st. So if you arrive before January 1st and something were to happen, you were to have an accident, you need to go to the hospital, you would have to pay completely out of pocket for those expenses. And they can be very significant. So if you have any specific questions about health insurance, we can cover those at the end. But we'll go ahead and go backwards to the Social Security. I'm sorry.
Well, I tell you what, leave me on health insurance just for a second. I did want to tell them the cost.
Oh, yeah.
How much it will, because when you mention the $250 deductible, that's not how much the insurance costs.
Oh, no.
When you are covered from January, you will be covered from January 1st to actually July 31st. Our new insurance year starts again on August the 1st, but for your policy for the incoming spring students, your policy will start on January 1st and cover you until July 31st. That's going to be around $1,200, and that will be billed to you and be part of the expenses that you have for the spring semester.
And you'll notice on your I-20, if you've already received your I-20, there is a certain section just that says student health insurance. I believe that total for the full year was $2,004. So the number Miss Gina gave you is just for January through July 31st. And then that additional cost would be for the fall semester. So it is listed on your I-20, so it should already be a part of your budget plan for the school year.
All right. Okay. We can continue. Thank you, ma'am.
No problem. All right. So went backwards to applying for a Social Security number. I'll be honest, Miss Gina's the pro on this one, but if you have a job like a graduate assistantship, or if you get a job once you arrive to campus, you will have to apply for a social. So I'm going to let Miss Gina explain that.
Yeah, SSN is short for Social Security number, and that is for a U.S. Social Security number. Students in Canada, if you have a Social Security number, it's a Canadian Social Security number. You need to make sure you also have a U.S. Social Security number. Applying for a Social Security number is a way for them to keep up with how each person pays their taxes. And so all students who are getting a job on campus is required to apply for a Social Security number. We will actually be applying for the Social Security number the week after, the Friday after classes start. First of all, we want to get you here, get you registered, get you settled, and then we'll worry about the Social Security number. You must have a job in order to apply for a Social Security number. Our F1 students and J1 students can only work on campus. They cannot work off campus. Off campus requires a special work authorization from our office, and you will be working illegally if you do not have that work authorization. And there's only certain types of work authorization that you can apply for to work off campus. And that would be something that you would have to ask us individually once you arrive. However, majority of you will apply for on-campus employment. You must be enrolled in classes first before you can access the Handshake program through the Career Services. The Handshake program on the Career Services website for USM has all the jobs listed on there. Please note that you have to be able to, if it's a remote job, you need to let us look at it first to see if it meets qualifications for you to be able to work. But most of our students work at Aramark, which is the company that owns the cafeteria here on campus and owns other little restaurants on campus. Even though it is a different company than USM, USM actually has a contract with them, so it is considered on-campus employment. Another place, there's all kinds of the Payne Center, the library. All of these are considered on-campus employment through USM. Those should be posted on Handshake. The program that is you can register for through the USM Career Services Department, but only after you're enrolled student. You cannot access Handshake until after you've enrolled in classes. The other part of employment is graduate assistantships. That's students who are graduate students who already have lined up a job with a department, whether you're a teaching assistant, whether you're a graduate student, a graduate assistantship. There, you've already lined up a job before you arrived, and you have a graduate assistantship. Now, for those of you who don't have a graduate assistantship, there may be some that become available after students get here and they see, maybe a student couldn't come here for some reason or not and had a graduate assistantship. That graduate assistantship may become available. But those are, you would have to ask each department yourself as to whether there were any graduate assistantships available for spring. And honestly, it wouldn't be too late to go ahead and ask them for the fall if you don't already have a fall graduate assistantship lined up. I know a lot of the graduate departments start deciding on fall, already have early deadlines in the early part of January, February, and March for giving out the GAs for fall. So you might want to touch base with some departments on campus about not only a spring graduate assistantship, but a fall also. You having thing to add, Ms. Casey, about graduate assistantships? Because she's the expert on that.
Well, I just want to point out that if you email a department and they say they don't have the funding, please don't continually email them again and again. We actually get complaints sometimes from academic departments when students are just repeatedly asking the same question and they've already gotten one answer. Funding for fall GAs, while they may be able to go ahead and award one, the funding will not be available until after the summer, just because of the way the university's budget year works. So when you're asking about GA positions, just make sure you're presenting yourself in a good way. It's like a job interview. You might want to go ahead and send an email with your resume to your department, just to requesting that information. But once you arrive, you can build some relationships that would lead to those. But if you don't already have a GA for spring, you're not going to get one. They've all been assigned and they've all been offered at this point. So if you haven't already been offered a graduate assistantship for spring 24, It's not very likely that you will get one. And then that would be the opportunity when you get to campus that you would want to look for an on-campus job if that is something you'd be interested in. But yeah, graduate assistantships are probably one of the questions I get the most in the admissions office, and honestly, I don't really have a lot of answers on those because we don't have anything to do with the decision making when it comes to graduate assistantships. So it's completely on the responsibility of the departments. I will say that the ISSS Instagram is a good place to watch out. Usually if Miss Leah or Miss Gina find out that there is a GA position available in a kind of a random place on campus, they'll post that to the Instagram account. And so you'll be able to go apply from there. So if you're not already following, I think it's ISSS_USM on Instagram, go ahead and do that because that's a good place to get that information. So, all right.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up one last thing about the paperwork and taxes. You do have to have a Social Security number to file your taxes. We will start, taxes are actually, we help process for taxes every March through April. And so if you are coming in before January 1st, there is a form that you will fill out for taxes and you will file it as part of your tax paperwork for 2023. We do taxes a year behind. And so you would need to come see me or send me an email if you're arriving before January 1st, because you will be required to fill out a tax form. Not that you'll owe any taxes or anything if you're not, because you won't be working yet. But there is a information form that you'll fill out if you arrive before January 1st. If you arrive after January 1st, then you will not file taxes until the next year. Okay, so this is Casey's area.
We just have a few more minutes. I just realized what time it was, so we need to kind of move along. But just a few things here from the admission side of things. If the transcript you submitted with your application was not a final transcript, so maybe you're currently still in school or you have finished and graduated within the last several months since you've been admitted, you will have an unclear international hold on your account. What that means is I just need you to bring me the official copy of your transcript, or official and final copy of your transcript and diploma. It's really important that I know the date that you received the degree. So it might be your degree conferral date or diploma date. But you'll just need to bring that to me. It takes about 5 minutes for me to take care of that hold. I just need to see the document. I have to update things to our computer system. I'll scan it and upload it to your digital file that you'll have here at USM, and then we can remove that hold. So you'll see on here it says International Center 202. That's my office. And so if you have this hold, if this pertains to you and you have finished or completed a degree since you were admitted, I'll just need to make sure you bring a physical copy of those documents with you, and we will make sure to take care of that hold. All right, so we had two things that I had listed as other topics or questions. One we've already addressed, but the other one we actually had a question about. So I'm going to address that one. So once again, on assistantships, Ms. Gina completely covered that. I would just also add, don't go door to door and ask for an assistantship. Like, there are proper channels on campus to go through, Handshake, for example, to apply. So going office to office to office to office, requesting a job or an assistantship is really not a great way to handle things. So once again, just use those online platforms that we have. So there was a question in the chat about courses. And so that is one of the things I wanted to highlight. So if you, for some reason, feel that you need to know what courses you're going to need to be taking this first term, I've had several applicants contact me about that. I'm going to be honest. I don't have a list of every class for every program, but I'm going to show you how to get to it, to where you can get that information for yourself. All that information is found in our academic bulletin. So you can just Google usm.edu and then your academic program. So you may not be able to see this because it's really small, but I put a couple of screenshots up here. So this is for computer science, for example. So when you get on the website for your program, you'll scroll down and you'll see a little box that has a gold top, and then it's going to have some hyperlinks for the degree program. So this one, for example, has computer science MS, but then it also has computer science PhD. If you're biological sciences, history, physics, whatever the program may be, if you go to that website and scroll down, you'll find a box that looks like this. You're going to then click on the link for your program, and it's going to take you to the academic bulletin. So, for example, right here, I clicked on computer science MS, and then it took me straight to the academic bulletin for the computer science program. Any classes that you're required to take are going to be listed on this page. And so it'll also include any other academic and program requirements in there. There's one of these for every single program that's available on this campus and the other campuses. So if you need to know that information for whatever reason, I'll be honest, I don't have time to look that up for each individual student. So that's why I'm giving you these instructions. Go find the website for your program, click on the link to the academic bulletin, and then you can just print that information from the academic bulletin. For some of the more advanced degrees, it's not very detailed because a lot of your hours are research. And so if you have specific questions about the programs, I would advise contacting the program coordinator or any faculty member that you may have been in contact with to see if they have any better references for you on that. So that is the information about course details and classes. This is the end of our presentation. So, it looks like the chat is now ended because our live session has ended.
Oh, poo. Okay.
Yeah. So, hey, if you have questions, I put mine and Miss Gina's email address on this slide. Mine is casey.cole@usm.edu, and you likely have that if you've received an I-20, because I would be the one who sent it to you. And then Miss Gina's email address, gina.barker@usm.edu. Sorry that we talked a little bit too long there. I do want to address Marwa's thing here. As long as you're not going to be working, Gina, correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as you don't have a job between December 25th and December 31st, you're not going to have anything to file for the.
You need to file taxes. There's an information form that our Sprint, we have a tax program called Sprint Tax that is specific to international students and their dependents, international scholars, that will generate the tax form, the informational tax form that you need. We will have tax workshops beginning March and April, and you will be getting emails about those, and you just need to attend one of those workshops to complete that tax form. It's an information tax form. It has nothing, you're not working, so you won't file any tax paperwork like that, but this is strictly ask you about your passport, ask you about your visa, how many days you've been in the U.S., and you sign and turn the form back in. But
that's not something you'll need to do those few days because we won't be here because December 25th is Christmas Day. So that would be something you'll take care of in January during check-in. So
yeah, in March and April. But if you arrive prior to January 1st, you will need to come to the tax workshops in March and April. All right?
But I would also note, Marwa, that you are arriving on December 25th, which is Christmas Day, which is when everything is closed and nobody is at work. So if you don't already have a plan for how to, where to stay, what to do, you definitely want to work on that between now and then, because arriving on that day, I'm sure the flights are probably cheaper because it's Christmas Day, but there's not going to be anybody available.
I'm not even sure there's any restaurants open.
Yeah,
what's open.
There won't be many. So that will be a challenge for you just to go ahead and address that. Once again, sorry we took a little too long. Once you get to know me and Miss Gina, you'll know that we like to talk. So but like I said, we've got our email addresses here for you. So just let us know if you've got any questions. And we look forward to seeing y'all in January.
Can't wait to see you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.